With telephone and Skype or any type of virtual interview, one big difference, of course, is technology. You're using technology, and having it set up properly and having it tested and everything ready to go is very, very important. It'll make you feel better, more comfortable, and you'll have a better interview experience. So this lesson, we're just going to go through some quick tips to help you be even more successful from the technology standpoint with your phone, Skype, and webinar type interviews. First off, if you're doing a phone interview, use a landline telephone. Those old-fashioned kind of, hardwired in landline telephone. Don't use a speakerphone, by the way. It sounds bad. You want to pick up the phone, put it to your ear, and so it sounds as clear as possible. Or if you have a headset plugged into your telephone, using that, whatever you can do to be as clear as possible. You can have your cell phone as a backup. Let's say you live in an area of the world or part of the country where maybe you might lose that telephone service. It's okay to have the cell phone as a backup, but you don't want to take your interviews on a cell phone. Not as clear. Also, you can drop a line or things can happen. So use landline telephones, no speakerphones, no cell phones. Make sure that you have like Skype access. If you're doing the Skype call, that you've got that all pre-set up. If you haven't used Skype before, that you practice with that, practice with your friends or whatever, that if you're going to do an interview over, let's say, Skype. With your video camera, you can use the one in your computer, but I would recommend that you get a nice, separate video camera. Test all this, of course, and like a 1080p. Look for a 1080p, video camera, so that's got good picture quality. If you're doing an interview like over Skype or something where they're going to look at you visually, it gives a better impression. You look better, and just the interviewers will just be in a better mindset because everything looks good. Certainly have a high-speed internet connection. If you don't in your home, maybe there's a place, an office or a conference room where you can rent a space or borrow a space, a friend's space that might have a high-speed internet connection. Just to, once again, make sure you don't drop a line or have any problems with like over Skype or something of that nature. Microphone or headset. Depends on, that's good, something that'll free up your hands. It's good to take notes and all that too. Like if you're doing a Skype call, for example, it's okay to have a headset. I would prefer a separate microphone, maybe a good standalone microphone, but whatever you do, just test it all the time. And that, you can certainly do some hands-free, but really it's about testing. And that's really the last couple parts here is test everything, and test everything in the location where you're going to do that interview. Don't be testing everything at the coffee shop if you're not going to do your interviews from the coffee shop. Test it, let's say, in your home office, if that's where you're going to do these phone interviews or a Skype interview or webinar interview, whatever it might be. Test in the place you're going to do. With your landline, make sure your telephone landline ringer is on so you know phone calls coming. On your landline, don't forget to disable call waiting or caller ID so you don't hear like the funny beeps or anything while you're in the middle of the interview. The interviewer can hear that as well too. And that if you are using a cell phone, there's just no way to avoid it. You're traveling, whatever. Just make sure you got a good, strong signal and that you have some good voice clarity. And think about your background noise or whatever. So if you're in an airport, you're going to get a lot of noise. Try to go to a quieter place. Ideally, I would just schedule it in a situation where you're not putting yourself into that situation because you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Really, what you want to do is put yourself at an advantage and do those kind of interviews from the same spot with the same equipment that you've tested over and over, that you don't have to worry about my equipment. You can worry about how to be great in your interview because that's really what you want to focus on, and your equipment really supports that.